All right, so we're looking at knowledge check 24.4.1. And the first part here was to define a function titled ratio that takes arguments x and y and returns their ratio. Pretty simple fraction here. Very simple function, but allows us to get our feet wet with writing functions. So what we do is we name the function ratio. We call this function used to create functions, and we pass the arguments. So right now we're just going to have an x and a y, add in our brackets here, and then we can just say we want to take x and divide it by y. All right, so we've defined our function. Now let's go ahead and apply it, see if it works. Ratio x equals, let's go ahead and do 3, y equals 4. And if I had this actually in a code chunk, it might work. Here we go. There we go. Now we get our ratio of 0.75, which is correct. Let's go ahead and do 2 and y equals 10, and we get a ratio of 0.2. Fantastic. So we have a simple function. So now it says, now add a third variable or argument that's called digits that allows you to round the output to a specified decimal. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to take the same code, and what we want to do here is add another one, digits. And what digits allows us to do is round our output to whatever the user wants to round it to. So what we can do here is we could just, let's go ahead and I'm going to save our fraction as frac. And then what I want to do is say round frac to the digits specified by digits. So if we run that, now let's go ahead. So now let's go ahead, let's run this. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do ratio where x equals 3, y equals 4, and digits equals, we'll just say 2. And we get 0.75. Now let's change digits to 1. And we see it actually gets rounded to 1 digit, which we now get 0.8. Okay. Now here's the interesting thing. Let's go ahead and delete this. And if we run this, we see that we get 1. And what happens is round. So round, the function that will round a number, we can see that the default is digits equals 0. Now what's unique is when we don't pass a digits argument in here, round will actually just by default set the digits to 0. All right, so what we want to do is we want to actually adjust this function here where we automatically set the default of digits to be 2. And we can do that just by setting an argument equal to a value. So now ratio has a default. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to run that. Let's bring this code down here. Now we don't do any rounding, and we see our output will round it to automatically 2 digits. But I could go ahead and I can go in, and a user could adjust this to digits equals 1, and now we see we get rounded to 1 decimal digit.